And Joplin expands its dining options with ghost kitchens. Also, law enforcement officials are looking for a man in connection with the disappearance of his fiancée.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Carl Junction Police and state authorities are investigating the detonation of a pipe bomb. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Chris Warner. It happened around 2 a.m. Friday morning in the yard of a home on the 1100 block of York. That's near Center Creek Park in Carl Junction. The police say someone on a dirt bike style motorcycle stopped in front of the home and threw the pipe bomb into the yard where it detonated. The police say no one was hurt, and they've contacted the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to help in the investigation. One person is dead and 4 children injured following a single vehicle crash in Barton County. The accident happened along US 160, 4 miles north of Golden City. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, just after 8 Saturday night, 44-year-old Jason Hawkins of Lamar was a passenger in a car that hit a bowl in the road, went off the road, and then struck a tree. Hawkins was taken by helicopter to Cox South Hospital in Springfield, where he later died from his injuries. There were 4 children in the car as well, ages 2 to 11. All 4 were taken to Cox Barton County in Lamar with minor injuries. Dining options are increasing in Joplin, even without new restaurants being built. That's because some popular eateries are setting up ghost kitchens and allowing folks to order takeout and delivery. Now, the concept is relatively simple. An out-of-town restaurant strikes a deal with a local restaurant and uses the local kitchen to prepare food that can be ordered online. Famous Dave's Barbecue is doing that in Joplin and has set up shop inside Johnny Carino's on Rangeline.
So far so good. Everyone's liked it. We mainly cater to like hospitals, a couple of the Mercy clinics around here, a couple churches and stuff. Everyone seems to like it and they always call back and order more.
The Famous Dave's Barbecue Ghost Kitchen has been operating in Joplin for about 3 months now. The Walk to End Alzheimer's returns to Pittsburgh. Dozens took to Guerrilla Village at PSU Saturday morning to participate in the walk that had to be held virtually last year because of the pandemic. Now, according to the Alzheimer's Association, an estimated 6.2 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's or dementia. The main goal, to raise awareness and raise money for care and a cure.
Alzheimer's is a public health crisis, and being that it's a public health crisis, it affects 1 in 3 people over the age of 83 actually, and then 1 in 3 people die of this disease. So eventually we see struggles with this in every family, in every walk of life.
More than $13,000 was raised leading up to the walk.
Chris, the amazing thing about that number is, and full disclosure here, but I have had the honor to MC that event. I was there. It was great. It was the number one, the amount of money leading up to it. But number 2, the amount that people donated Saturday itself was out of this world. As a matter of fact, Team Fred, that's the name of the team, okay? Team Fred, led by a certain individual that I know is watching right now, and she blushes a little bit when I talk about her and her team. $2,800.
Wow, and that's just one team. Just one team.
It's because you're amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Wonderful time out there, and I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate each and every individual who is out there with us Saturday in Guerrilla Village. We've got another one coming up in Joplin in early October. Yeah. If you didn't have a chance to do it on this Saturday, please help us out when it comes to the Joplin Walk, and together we are going to find a cure eventually. Eventually, we are going to do this. All right, let's take a live look outside of Television City because we've got one last gasp of summer right here. You see these temperatures as we sit at the noon hour? Remember, we don't peak until later on this afternoon. We've had some consistent rain out on the western edge of southeast Kansas. It really hasn't budged, but it has been, I don't want to say dreary out there. It just hasn't given up since this morning, but it hasn't posed any serious concerns. But the jet stream is moving, and it is now collapsing down to the southeast. So even though we'll be up around 90 degrees later on this afternoon, for those of you awaiting the fall temps, guess what? Thunderstorm activity is going to bring it. We start tonight. We'll have thunder, lightning, and the whole 9. And as we move through, Look at this cold front that's going to drop in on us. Chris just over there raising the roof, excited about these cooler temperatures because a 20-degree difference in between today and tomorrow, and those overnight lows, wow, we're going to be able to ride the 50s one day before the first official day of fall.
That's going to be nice. We've been looking forward to these fall temperatures, but I'm also looking ahead to the weekend, and it looks like this is just another brief enjoy fall.
No, your respite's going to be good. That's a warm weekend for the latter third of September. But no, we don't have any massive heat wave. And those overnight lows still dropping down to the 60s. It's going to be perfect.
All right, I'm holding you to it. I'm going to open the windows.
Shh, don't tell Mother Nature. There's no humidity.
I think she forgot.
Okay.
All right, Michael, thank you. Topping Nation Watch, law enforcement officials are looking for a Florida man after the FBI found what appears to be the body of his fiancée in northwestern Wyoming. Now, Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito have been on a cross-country trek visiting national parks. Laundrie returned home to Florida without Petito and has not been seen for nearly a week. Jerika Duncan is outside the Laundrie home in Northport, Florida.
Human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
After more than a week of searching, the FBI now believes it found what appears to be Gabby Petito's body near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming.
The cause of death has not been determined at this time.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Petito disappeared while on a cross-country trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
So, we are right outside Capitol Reef right now.
Laundrie is believed to have returned home to Florida September 1st without her. Investigators want to speak with him, but over the weekend, his family told authorities they haven't seen him since September 14th.
Do you think they're telling the truth?
I think at this point anything's on the table.
Josh Taylor is the spokesperson for the Northport, Florida Police Department.
He was back here in this community for 10 days before she was reported missing. It's a lot of time for somebody to kind of get their act together. We certainly think Brian has some explaining to do.
At one point, more than 50 agents were searching for him in the nature reserve near the house where he lived with Petito. CBS News spoke to Gabby Petito's closest friend, Rose Davis, who told us the couple had their issues.
Every relationship has the bumps and everything like that. I would never have thought this could happen.
Through a series of TikTok videos and pictures, Davis pleaded for any information about her best friend and told us she thinks Laundrie has to know something.
I wanted to text him and just be like, please give me something.
Davis says Petito always had a way of putting a smile on Davis's face.
She'll do everything to bring the light out in you, and if she can't, she'll give you some of hers.
The attorney for the Laundrie family called the news of Gabby Petito heartbreaking, saying they are praying for Gabby Petito's family. Jerika Duncan, CBS News, Northport, Florida.
Before Brian Laundrie disappeared, police say he refused to cooperate with investigators about Gabby Petito's disappearance. One officer is dead and another injured in Houston, Texas, after serving a search warrant this morning. The man the officers were trying to arrest is also dead. The officer who was injured is in stable condition. That's a look at today's top stories and weather all in the first 7 minutes. The KOAM News at noon. Up next, a gunman opens fire at a Russian university. We'll have the latest. And later, Howard celebrating Oktoberfest with slow cooker short ribs and cabbage in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Topping World Watch, a gunman opened fire at a school in Russia this morning. 8 people are dead and dozens more injured. Ian Lee brings us the latest on the developing story.
Desperate students jumped from windows as gunshots echoed across campus. They ran for cover as an armed man roamed the halls of this university in Russia. One injured student was able to pull himself to safety before medics arrived. Another described the scene as terrifying, saying he tried to hunt us down. Local media identified the shooter as an 18-year-old student at the university. Security forces quickly locked down the area, keeping loved ones away. This student says he barricaded himself in a lecture hall with 60 other people. Authorities say the gunman wrote on social media that hatred fueled his shooting spree. He's now in custody after a firefight with police. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Now, school shootings are rare in Russia. The country has strict gun laws, but many people can still buy firearms for hunting. Well, still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
That's it. That's almost perfect. That means, ooh, it's so good in German. Join us today for a recipe that is just that.
And we've got an Octaschmeck forecast coming up with Michael Hayslip.
Find ourselves now 48 hours away from our first day of fall. That's when we'll have the fall equinox. And here coming in the next couple of days, we'll talk about our hours of daylight, if you will, as we approach it, because the equinox, seemingly meaning equal. Not necessarily the case, though, when it rolls around for our March and our fall. However, kind of interesting to point out, got to remember the fall equinox, in the South Pole, Chris, 24 hours of sunlight. No, thank you. Working at working at morning shows. I like a little nighttime.
I could go for one day, 24-hour period.
Well, they don't have to. That's all right, Dylan. You can throw it up there. I was just going to talk over it. Well, with that being said, let's put it this way: we would never have fall-like temperatures if we had that in the 4 states.
No, okay, see, now that's different, though. You're applying it to the 4 states. No, I wouldn't want 24 hours of sunlight.
It's already 90 degrees right now in Neodesha. Now, compare that to Iola. We've got such a tremendous drop. It's only 77 in Iola, and then we've got a whole bunch of mid-80s running through southwest Missouri. Now, here's the big difference. This little band of rain right here, it has just been consistent all morning. It just hasn't budged. If I put this thing on, say, a 6-hour loop, just watch how this thing moves in, but then every time it tries to move to the east, it just breaks up. But the big one that we're paying attention to that's going to bring us thunderstorm activity, that's just kind of the beginning of it. This thing is still ranging up in central Nebraska right now because that mid-level jet stream indicated by those blue arrows, it is essentially going to keep on dropping to the southeast throughout our Monday. Now, before we get to our thunderstorm activity, do want to catch you up on a couple of things in the Atlantic Basin. That's because we have a tropical storm by the name of Peter that is going to affect Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, as it should spin off away from the contiguous 48. And I know you go, wait a second, where did the letter O go? Well, Odette was over the weekend, and she just ran out of gas. So now we transition to the letter R. There is Rose, now a named tropical storm as well. Our goal for her is to let her spin out as well. Let's come back to the 4 states and talk about our last 2 days of astronomical summer, because our fall-like temperatures are going to appear 1 day early. We're going to go into the 90s today, still a good 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. But starting tonight, we're talking about thunderstorm activity with lightning and thunder. We're going to do the whole 9, including anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain along that band. Majority of the accumulation will then roll through southwest Missouri here overnight into early Tuesday morning. I'm telling you, get ready to have an umbrella out in southwest Missouri for tomorrow morning's commute. Also, too, you may even want to have a jacket on the backside of it. Our severe thunderstorm risk model does show portions of the 4 states as we push off to the northeast in that low category. That biggest threat is going to be some high winds. For the most part, we will be eyeballing some possible flooding, Chris, because it's going to come down at a good clip and drop us some 20 degrees in the process of doing so. Look at that overnight low between Tuesday and Wednesday. How about 49 degrees?
It's cold. To me, that's cold. I'm sorry. That's it.
For me?
I can't do it. I'm hibernating.
I'm going Carhartt. I'll have the Carhartts, the long underwear. I'm going to have 18 layers on for the morning show. Mark my words.
I'm going to be right there with you. It's going to be way too cold.
I know.
Way too cold. Michael, thank you so much. And we do take this time now to honor today's 4-state hero, a native of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Lance Corporal Thomas Blair served in the Marine Corps. This highly decorated veteran won the Purple Heart, Marine Corps Commendation, and National Defense Medal, just to name a few. And we thank you, Lance Corporal Thomas Blair, today's 4-state hero. Well, as Michael just mentioned, fall is definitely in the air, and you know what that means? Oktoberfest. Howard's got a slow-cooked recipe that's perfect for the celebration, or, really, honestly, anytime. We've got slow cooker short ribs and cabbage today in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When it comes to Oktoberfest, we usually think of big steins of German beer,
Music?
that'll have you singing and swaying, and of course, lots of good food. As for the music and the beer, I'm sure you've got that covered. But when it comes to the food, we've got a hearty all-in-one beefed up dinner that'll knock your lederhosen socks off. We start by browning a good amount of beef short ribs in a little vegetable oil. We do this in batches so we don't overcrowd the pan. While those finish up, we add a can of crushed tomatoes to a slow cooker, along with some tomato paste, lemon juice, brown sugar, caraway seeds, and a bit of salt. After mixing this, we put the short ribs on top and add some chopped cabbage. Now all we do is cover it, set it to low, and let it cook all day until the meat is fall off the bone tender. Oh my gosh, I bet you've never tasted ribs as meaty and moist as these. And when you ladle the sweet and tangy sauce over them, along with all that cooked cabbage, get ready to start singing and swaying. To get the recipe for our slow-cooked short ribs and cabbage, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen with Kelly, whose beer is almost as big as she is, where today we found a fill-you-up way for you to say,
Schmeckt.
In other words, ooh, it's so good. Sip up.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. All you need to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at 4 state market prices. The Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks held its first ever Bras at the Bridge event over the weekend at the Reddings Mill Bridge just south of Joplin. Now, the donated bras they had there will be given to the Lafayette House and other women's organizations. There were also bras that were decorated by a sorority out of Springfield, and then a series of bras decorated by breast cancer survivors. Those bras could be bid on, with proceeds going to benefit the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks. And it was beautiful weather over the weekend for that. Beautiful weather ahead.
I tell you what, between Bras at the Bridge, the Walk for Alzheimer's, this is why I love being a part of the 4 states with all the community activities that we had over the weekend and the way everybody took part. Now we get ready for a taste of fall because thunderstorm activity is going to roll in tonight after an afternoon in the 90s. And then once we get this, anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain, complete with thunder and lightning all the way into Tuesday morning. We're going to have a cold front that's going to sweep in just before the beginning of fall, and temperatures very delightful as we'll finally be able to ride a string of 70s.
Looking lovely. Dow Quick joining us now. Look what's coming up at 5.
Yeah, at 5, a good sign in the effort to keep kids safe from COVID. Pfizer has announced that a medical trial shows its coronavirus vaccine is safe for children ages 5 to 11. That could be a big step toward making the vaccine available to that age group. And it comes at a time when COVID-19 cases in children have been skyrocketing. Plus, we're going to tell you about a recent increase in certain burglaries in Joplin and what the police department is doing to track down people behind them. And as COVID cases continue to hit hospitals hard, we'll take a look at how rural hospitals in the area are dealing with the cases. You join us at 5.
All right, thank you so much. That's our time for now. We'll see you at 5.